Hello, I'm Stephen Cooley, and welcome to the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Show. And once again, I've got Tracy Reynolds on the show, and Tracy is my real estate show attorney expert. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and providing us with great legal advice about buying a home. And if you bought a home, you know that you don't get the keys until you go to the attorney's office.
That's right.
So that's where all the fun happens. It's like a little hour party where you walk in the door and you leave with house keys, or if you're a seller, you leave without owning a home.
Exactly, yes. And it can be a very stressful event, although it is a very exciting time period.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people are confused about the entire process. It does end at our office. We strive to make sure that that is a pleasant experience for them, that everything's done when they get there. There's no surprises. You guys do the same exact thing. One thing to point out is that if you have a loan, the closing disclosure is released by the lender in advance of closing, usually within days of actually applying for the loan. And then as the time goes on, fees are added to that closing disclosure. One thing to keep in mind is that those fees are our fees and they're the lender fees, because those are the fees that are usually set, don't change, and can be available immediately. What's not placed on that closing disclosure until right before closing or third-party survey, home inspection. So keep a list of those items that you've purchased throughout the closing process and anticipate that those will be added towards the end, because that is a surprise. I think that's the biggest surprise for a lot of customers.
Absolutely, and I do want to brag on when you use an agent with the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Group and you use Tracy Reynolds to close the loan, there are less surprises.
Right.
And this at the closing is where everyone brings their money, including the bank, and the buyers bring their down payment, and all that comes together and all comes on that closing statement. And that's a 3 or 4 page document. And I just want to say that over my career, you've done a great job explaining to people exactly what is on that statement. Because really the sellers just want to get rid of the keys and the buyers want to grab the keys.
Right.
And so you do a great job of letting them understand the buying and selling process. And also when there's a loan involved, about 95% of the time there is one, all that's required out of the bank.
Right. Yes, the bank really leads the process to a degree as far as the timing, because they have a lot of information to collect, and they have a lot of federal requirements.
Yeah, and if you're getting a 90% loan, that means the bank's taking 90% of the risk, and they want to make sure their documents are correct and covered well and signed.
Right.
And you do a great job with that. Tracy, can you hit on, since tax bills are out, South Carolina is one of those states where if you don't claim your primary residence as your primary residence, you pay a lot more in taxes. When I say a lot more in taxes, I bought a vacation home, and the owners of the home paid about $800 a year, and because it was not my primary residence, it was almost $7,000 a year.
Right.
And so it's very important to claim your home as your primary residence if it is. And would you cover that? Because it's so important.
It is important. So there are 2 exemptions in South Carolina primarily. One is just if you live in the home as your primary residence. You apply for that by having your driver's license and vehicle registration with the home address and submitting that to the tax office. They have the applications there. It's a simple application. You just have to declare that this is your primary residence. You can live in the house one day out of the year and get that exemption for the entire year. So if your bill was released, take a look at it. If it has 6% at the top, but it's your primary residence, go to March with your driver's license and vehicle registration to the tax office to get that converted. And if you have a lender, make sure to get the new invoice to them. They'll probably figure that out, but I would just go ahead and send it to them anyway. The second exemption is for homestead, which is if you're the age of 65 and lived in the state of South Carolina for a year. So all of those that have moved in, you have to wait a year to get that, but then you have to apply with the tax office to obtain that, and that's the first $50,000 off the value of the home before it's taxed.
Absolutely, and South Carolina's got some of the cheapest property taxes in the country if you claim this as your primary residence.
Right.
A couple of years ago, I flipped through the tax notices, and a lot of people had 6%, and I just spent a day calling those people, and they didn't know, and one had been paying it for 7 years.
Wow.
About 5 times what they'd have paid because they were over 65.
Right, it's not common from the individual, well, North Carolina does not have this.
Right.
Most states don't have it, so you're not anticipating that there is so it's important to make sure to contact the tax office to get that established.
And I just want to say, if you use an agent with the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Group and you use Tracy Reynolds to close the loan, you will not have this problem. So thank you so much for doing a great job for all our clients and customers. And Tracy, do you mind folks letting folks know how to reach you, because when you're buying a home, it is up to you to pick your closing attorney. And so I have found that Tracy's the absolute best in town.
Thank
so tell
you.
them how to reach you, Tracy.
My website, threynolds.com, it has all the information that we just discussed about the homestead and the primary residence. There's tons of closing tips, just all this information I've accumulated over the past 23 years. And my phone number is 803-328-0150.
And Tracy, take great care of you. Thanks for being our real estate legal expert on the show. We've got beautiful homes for sale in your area. Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back. I hope you've enjoyed watching the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Show. If you're interested in advertising your business on the program, please give us a call at 803-326-2777. Join us next week for more discussions on real estate topics and help in finding your perfect home. Thanks for watching.